The Sigma male has become one of the most talked about personality types in modern culture. He is shown as the quiet outsider, the lone wolf, the man who does not follow social rules and refuses to be controlled by anyone. Many people admire this image because it seems strong, smart, and independent. But behind the mysterious surface, there is a reality that most people do not see. The Sigma male often ends up with nobody beside him. He walks alone, not only in spirit, but in his relationships, his friendships, and sometimes even his daily life. This outcome surprises many people because the Sigma male is usually described as confident, capable, and self-directed. But the truth is more complex, and the reasons behind his isolation go much deeper than a simple love for solitude. To understand why Sigma males have nobody, you need to look beyond the surface traits and examine the patterns that shape their behavior. These patterns appear in their social habits, their emotional responses, and the way they understand relationships. The Sigma male is not a person who naturally blends into group life. He stands apart, watches from a distance, and avoids the competition that defines most social settings. While this gives him a calm and steady presence, it also removes many chances for connection. People do not always know how to approach him, and he does not always know how to meet them halfway. There is also a difference between being alone and being disconnected. Many Sigma males enjoy peace and personal space. They like quiet moments and time to think. But enjoying solitude does not mean they want to be invisible to the world. It does not mean they never want deep relationships or loyal companions. The problem is that their habits, beliefs, and emotional defenses often push people away without them noticing. Over time, they build a life that feels safe but also empty. This video explores 6 real reasons why Sigma males end up with nobody. These reasons are not about weakness or failure. They come from the way Sigma males think, act, and interpret the world around them. Each reason reveals a part of the bigger picture, showing why their independence often turns into isolation. By understanding these reasons, you will see how the Sigma male's strengths and struggles are connected and why his path often leads to standing alone. Reason number 1. They reject traditional social hierarchies and lose group bonds. Most people naturally fit into some kind of social structure. They join teams, friend circles, work groups, or social communities. These groups give them purpose, support, and a sense of belonging. But the Sigma male does not relate to these systems in the same way. He rejects the idea of social ladders, ranks, and expected roles. He steps outside the hierarchy on purpose, not because he wants to rebel, but because he feels more comfortable observing than participating. This choice separates him from most of the connections people build through shared structure. In groups, people form bonds by following common rules. They support one another, show loyalty, share responsibilities, and work together toward goals. The Sigma male rarely engages in these activities. He does not like being part of a chain of command, and he does not enjoy being tied to group expectations. He avoids situations where people try to tell him how to behave or how to think. While this protects his independence, it also removes the foundation that friendships and relationships often grow from. People bond through shared effort, not silent distance. The Sigma male's avoidance of social structure can also make him hard to understand. Others see him as distant or uninterested because he does not join in the way they expect. He may show up quietly, leave early, or stand apart from the group without explaining himself. People often misinterpret this behavior as coldness or rejection. They assume he does not want to connect, so they stop trying. The Sigma male may not notice this shift at first, but eventually he sees that people no longer include him. What he sees as harmless independence is seen by others as a lack of interest. Another issue is loyalty. Groups expect members to show loyalty in certain ways, such as being reliable, participating regularly, and supporting the group during conflict. The Sigma male does not connect through loyalty to a group. His loyalty is individual and personal. He does not join group decisions, follow group rules, or support the group simply because it exists. This approach puts him at odds with common social expectations. People may feel that he cannot be counted on, even if he is dependable in his own way. Over time, these differences create a pattern where the Sigma male becomes an outsider by default. He is rarely chosen as a central part of a group because he does not place himself inside it. He is rarely invited to deeper social circles because he does not respond in the usual ways. It is not that people dislike him. They simply do not understand him well enough to build trust. As a result, he loses group bonds before they can form, leaving him with few connections and, often, nobody in his close circle. Reason number 2, they prioritize autonomy and self-reliance over relationships. Autonomy is one of the strongest forces in the life of a Sigma male. He values personal freedom more than almost anything else. He prefers to make decisions alone, work alone, and live life on his own terms. This mindset gives him strength and resilience, but it also creates distance between him and others. Relationships require shared effort, compromise, and emotional presence. When someone values independence above all else, relationships become difficult to maintain. The Sigma male often avoids situations where he feels controlled or restricted. Even small expectations can make him uncomfortable. He may pull away when someone tries to get closer, not because he dislikes them, but because he fears losing control of his life. He wants to protect his time, his thoughts, and his personal space. This makes him slow to commit, and even slower to open up emotionally. People who try to get close may feel like they are being pushed away, even when the Sigma male does not mean to push them. Self-reliance is another trait that affects his connections. The Sigma male rarely asks for help. He solves problems on his own and avoids relying on others. While this looks strong from the outside, it creates a barrier. When someone never needs anything from others, people may feel unnecessary or unimportant in his life. Relationships are built on shared needs and mutual support. When one person appears fully self-sufficient, the bond weakens because there is no exchange of trust or vulnerability. Communication is another challenge. The Sigma male communicates directly when needed, but he does not engage in casual social interaction with much enthusiasm. He prefers meaningful conversation, but avoids emotional conversations that require exposure. This makes relationships feel uneven. The other person may share personal thoughts, hopes, or fears, but the Sigma male may stay guarded. Over time, the lack of emotional exchange makes the relationship feel one-sided. The Sigma male also loves his personal routines. He may prefer solitude during certain hours, quiet environments, or strict boundaries around his time. While he sees these habits as necessary for peace, others may see them as avoidance. They may feel shut out of his life because they are not part of his routines. Without meaning to, he builds a life that does not leave much space for others to enter. All of these tendencies combine to create a lifestyle that is very independent but very lonely. The Sigma male does not intentionally push people away. He simply prioritizes autonomy so strongly that relationships become complicated, exhausting, or restrictive. Instead of finding balance, he often chooses distance. Over time, he looks around and realizes he has nobody close, not because he wanted isolation, but because he protected his independence more than he protected his connections. Reason number 3, they miscommunicate emotional needs and avoid vulnerability. Emotional connection is one of the foundations of any strong relationship. People bond through sharing feelings, expressing needs, and showing vulnerability. These actions create trust, closeness, and understanding. But Sigma males often struggle in this area. They process emotions internally, keep their private thoughts hidden, and avoid showing weakness. While this helps them stay calm and controlled, it also prevents others from getting close. Over time, this pattern becomes a major reason they end up with nobody. One of the biggest challenges is emotional communication. Many Sigma males are comfortable with direct, logical conversations, but they struggle when the topic becomes personal or emotional. They may stay quiet, change the subject, or give short answers when someone asks how they truly feel. This leaves others confused. People want to understand them, but the Sigma male's silence creates distance instead of connection. Even when he cares deeply, he does not always express it in ways others understand. Another issue is avoiding vulnerability. Vulnerability is necessary in strong relationships because it shows trust and honesty. But the Sigma male does not like exposing his inner world. He fears losing control or being judged. He has spent years building a calm and private identity, and showing vulnerability feels unsafe. This makes it difficult for others to know him on a deeper level. They may feel like they are talking to someone who is always guarded, even when the Sigma male is trying to be open in his own way. Miscommunication also appears when the Sigma male handles conflict. Instead of discussing problems, he may withdraw and wait for emotions to settle. While this approach avoids drama, it also prevents real resolution. The other person may feel ignored or dismissed. They may think the Sigma male does not care, even though he is simply trying to keep the peace. This misunderstanding damages bonds and weakens trust. Another problem is that the Sigma male often expects people to understand his loyalty without him saying it. He believes his actions speak for themselves. But most people need verbal reassurance or emotional confirmation. Without it, they assume he is uninterested or distant. Even when the Sigma male is loyal and caring, his lack of emotional communication hides those qualities. Because of these patterns, the Sigma male often ends up alone. People drift away, not because they dislike him, but because they never feel truly connected. They never see his emotional world because he keeps it hidden. He may look stable and independent on the outside, but inside he is misunderstood. This emotional gap makes deep relationships nearly impossible, leaving him isolated even when he wants closeness. Reason number 4, they use loneliness as identity or coping rather than choice. Sigma males are often described as people who enjoy being alone. They seem comfortable with solitude and removed from the social pressures that influence most people. While some Sigma males truly do enjoy quiet independence, others use loneliness as a form of emotional protection. Over time, they build an identity around being alone, even if the original reason was pain, fear, or disappointment. This becomes a coping mechanism rather than a deliberate lifestyle, and it becomes one of the reasons they end up with nobody. Many Sigma males experience situations in the past where they felt betrayed, misunderstood, or excluded. Instead of relying on others again, they decided to rely only on themselves. This choice may have helped them stay safe at the time, but it also created long-term patterns that keep them isolated. They convince themselves that they prefer solitude, even when part of them wants connection. The more they repeat this idea, the more it becomes part of their identity. This coping behavior can be subtle. The Sigma male may say he prefers to work alone, but the real reason is that teamwork feels risky. He may say he enjoys staying private, but the real reason is fear of judgment. He may say he chooses independence, but the real reason is avoiding disappointment. These hidden motives are not weakness. They are defense systems built from earlier experiences. The problem is that they limit him in ways he does not always notice. Loneliness can also feel comfortable when it becomes familiar. The Sigma male may get used to having complete control of his surroundings, his schedule, and his emotional space. The idea of letting someone else in feels complicated or disruptive. Even when he meets someone he likes, the thought of changing his routine or sharing his private world feels overwhelming. Instead of risking discomfort, he returns to solitude because it feels safer. This pattern also affects his confidence. Constant isolation can make emotional skills weaker. The Sigma male may hesitate to start conversations, take social risks, or express interest. He may assume others will not understand him. He may expect rejection and avoid it by staying alone. Over time, he forgets the difference between comfort and habit. What started as coping becomes his default way of living. Eventually, loneliness becomes part of his identity. He starts seeing himself as the outsider, the observer, the one who stands apart. This identity gives him strength because it feels controlled, but it also locks him into isolation, making connection harder each year. People may try to get close, but his self-protective habits push them away. He ends up with nobody, not because he chose to be alone, but because loneliness became a shield he never learned to set down. Reason number 5. Their identity is shaped by online tropes more than real life. The modern image of the Sigma male did not come from long-term psychological studies or real-world research. It came from the internet. Online videos, posts, and social media discussions created a version of the Sigma male that is extreme, polished, and often unrealistic. This version spread quickly, shaping how people see Sigma males and how some men see themselves. The problem is that online versions of personalities rarely match real-life human connection. This disconnect leads many Sigma males to live in ways that push people away. Online culture often promotes the Sigma male as the silent outsider who never needs anyone, never seeks love, and never shows emotion. These traits make for dramatic content, but they do not support healthy relationships. When someone tries to copy this exaggerated version, they adopt habits that increase isolation. They limit their expression, withdraw from social settings, and treat loneliness like a badge of honor. Instead of growing as a person, they try to match a digital image that was never meant to reflect real behavior. Another problem is that online tropes simplify complex traits. Real independence requires emotional maturity, communication skills, and self-awareness. Online versions skip these steps and focus only on the dramatic parts. This creates an incomplete model for anyone trying to follow it. A Sigma male who imitates these traits may avoid commitment, avoid emotional honesty, avoid vulnerability, and avoid meaningful connection. These choices make real relationships nearly impossible. Online communities also reinforce the idea that Sigma males are better off alone. They praise solitude, emotional silence, and distance as signs of power. But in real life, Relationships require openness, consistency, and shared effort. When a Sigma male tries to live by the internet's rules, he ends up isolated because those rules do not translate into real-world behavior. What works in a meme or video does not work in a conversation or relationship. Another issue is comparison. Many Sigma males compare themselves to online content and assume they must behave in extreme ways to fit the label. They think they must always be distant, always be silent, always be independent, and never show need. This creates pressure to perform an identity instead of living naturally. It also prevents them from forming bonds because they hide their humanity behind a persona. As a result, their relationships never grow beyond the surface. People see the persona, not the person. They feel a wall between themselves and the Sigma male because he is acting out an idea instead of showing who he really is. Over time, this habit leaves him surrounded by screens instead of people, following a version of himself that he cannot maintain in real life. This disconnect leads to isolation and becomes one of the real reasons he ends up with nobody. Reason number 6. They don't make the social or emotional investment others do. Strong relationships do not appear on their own. They grow through effort, time, honesty, and shared experiences. Most people understand this naturally. They reach out, stay in touch, show interest, and invest emotional energy into their connections. Sigma males, however, often follow a different pattern. They keep their distance, protect their freedom, and avoid emotional dependence. While this helps them stay independent, it also prevents the growth of long-term bonds. Over time, the lack of investment becomes a major reason they end up with nobody. One of the biggest challenges is consistency. Relationships need regular communication and presence. People want to feel remembered, valued, and included. The Sigma male does not always prioritize these things. He may disappear for long periods without realizing how it affects others. He may pull away when life becomes stressful or when he needs time to think. While this feels normal to him, others interpret it as disinterest. They slowly stop reaching out because they feel like they are putting in more effort than they receive. Emotional investment is another area where the Sigma male falls short. Many of them are introspective and private, so they rarely share their thoughts or feelings openly. They stay calm on the surface and keep personal struggles to themselves. This makes people feel disconnected because they never access the deeper parts of his personality. Without emotional openness, relationships stay shallow. People eventually drift away because they cannot build closeness with someone who remains locked behind emotional walls. Another factor is the Sigma male's avoidance of dependency. He does not want people to rely on him, and he does not want to rely on others. While this mindset protects his independence, it also creates emotional gaps. Most relationships grow through acts of support and shared vulnerability. When the Sigma male avoids these moments, he blocks the foundation that relationships need. People may try to connect with him, but eventually they stop when they realize he never lets them in fully. Social investment is also limited. The Sigma male often avoids group activities, gatherings, or regular social routines. He may choose solitude after work instead of meeting friends. He may decline invitations even when he likes the people inviting him. These small decisions build a lifestyle with very little social interaction. Over time, bonds weaken simply because he is not present enough to maintain them. There is also a misunderstanding that effort equals loss of freedom. Many Sigma males believe that investing in relationships will restrict their independence. But healthy relationships do not take freedom away. They add connection and support. Because he sees effort as a threat to his autonomy, the Sigma male often avoids doing the small things that make relationships strong. This creates a slow drift into isolation. All of these behaviors combine into a pattern where the Sigma male ends up alone, not because he lacks value, but because he does not give others enough to build something lasting. People need presence, communication, and emotional honesty. When these things are missing, even potential relationships fade away. The Sigma male may not intend to push people out, but his lack of investment does exactly that, leaving him with nobody in the long run. The Sigma male stands out from the crowd because he follows his own path. He is independent, thoughtful, and resistant to social pressure. These traits give him strength and confidence, but they also create challenges that most people do not see. Throughout this video, we looked at the real reasons Sigma males often end up with nobody beside them. Each reason reveals how his behavior, mindset, and habits shape his personal life in ways that lead to isolation. He rejects social hierarchies, which removes him from the natural bonding that happens in groups. His focus on autonomy makes relationships feel like limitations. He struggles with emotional expression, leaving others confused about where they stand. He uses loneliness as a shield, turning past pain into a lifestyle. Online culture exaggerates his traits, pushing him toward an identity that does not work in real life. And finally, he does not invest enough time or emotion into relationships, causing people to drift away even when he cares. These patterns do not mean the Sigma male is broken or incapable of connection. They mean he is shaped by habits that make closeness difficult. He values independence so strongly that he forgets relationships require effort, honesty, and presence. The result is a quiet, steady isolation that grows over time. He ends up with nobody not because he wants an empty life, but because his actions and beliefs slowly push others out of reach. But these patterns can change. A Sigma male can keep his independence while still letting people into his world. He can stay private without shutting others out. He can protect his peace without isolating himself. Understanding the real reasons behind his loneliness is the first step toward breaking the cycle. When he sees the connection between his choices and his outcomes, he gains the power to build relationships without losing himself. In the end, the Sigma male's journey does not have to be a solitary one. His strengths can help him build deep and meaningful connections if he chooses to use them differently. Independence does not mean isolation. Solitude does not have to become his identity. With awareness and effort, he can create bonds that fit his personality without sacrificing his freedom.